Okay. All right, we are ready to begin the Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, March the 25th, 2025. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Here.
Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Love.
Here.
All council members are present.
Okay, so tonight we need to go into closed session, but before we do, Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody wishing to speak on any closed session items tonight?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go into closed session and hopefully return by 7:30 p.m. to restart the meeting. everyone mute your cell phones or turn them off? Becky, are we ready? Okay. We're good? Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, March the 25th, 2025. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Here.
Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Love.
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we had closed session, and Madam City Attorney, would you like to report out on any items that we discussed?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. With regards to tonight's closed session, the council met with regards to item 2A through 2G. All members of the council were present. As it pertains to items 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, and 2E, staff was provided with direction. With regards to items 2F and 2G, the council was provided with an update. No other reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next, we're going to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. So tonight, that will be led by two students from 156th Street Elementary School. I'm just going to ask them to come forward here. We have with us tonight Mary Wilson and Noah Arazia. Hope I pronounced it. Araza, thank you. And then immediately following that, we will have our invocation tonight led by Pastor Les Higgins. So at this time, everyone, please stand.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please continue standing.
Let us bow our heads. Father God in heaven, we praise you today. We glorify you for allowing us to be here. We thank you, Lord, for your faithfulness towards us. We pray right now that you will grant us wisdom, that we may fully understand you and your will and lead this city. We pray, oh Father God, for the mayor, the council members, and the staff, and all the wonderful volunteers that serve this city. We thank you for their love and their faithfulness. We ask that you will give them strength, Lord. Give them wisdom, Father God. Give them love and justice and mercy. And we pray, oh Father God, for a fruitful and productive meeting and that you will be glorified. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. And if I could have our two pledgers come back to the front, please. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by two students from 156th Street Elementary School. The first one is Mari Wilson. She is a positive and enthusiastic sixth grader with a great sense of humor. She loves dance and gymnastics, and she also really enjoys traveling to calm locations with her family. I like that too. Her favorite book is The Wizard of Oz, and she loves the movie Wicked. She is a youth leader. She is in a youth leadership group where she learns about fighting for equal rights in countries around the world. Would you like to say anything, Mary?
No, thank you.
Okay. And can you tell us who you came with tonight? Was it your mom or dad?
I came with my mom and my auntie.
Okay, where are they at? Right there? All right, let's give them a round of applause for bringing you out. Thank you. Also tonight, we were also led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Noah Ariza. I said it right, okay, who's also in the sixth grade, and he is a high-achieving and hardworking sixth grader in the Gifted and Talented Education, the GATE program. He is also very driven when he sets his sight on a goal. He enjoys sports and plays on the flag football team. In school, his favorite subjects are math and reading. His favorite books are The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the series, and an issue that Noah cares about is reducing violence in the world. Wow, nice. Noah, can you tell us who you brought with you tonight?
I brought my mother, father, and sister Camila.
Okay, where are they at? Right there. All right, thank you guys for coming out. And Noah, would you like to say anything else?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, that's okay. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys did a great job. Continue doing really well in school, and I hope to see you guys come back and one day lead us again in the Pledge of Allegiance. So everyone, let's give them one more big round of applause. Thank you, guys. You can take your seats now. Okay. And if we could have our invocator please come back to the front. So tonight's invocation was led by Pastor Les Higgins from True Way Missionary Baptist Church. On February 9, 2020, True Way Missionary Baptist Church voted Reverend Les Higgins, Sr., as the new pastor. Pastor Les received his master's degree in Christian education from Talbot School of Theology in 2004 and his minister's license from Faithful Central Bible Church in 2001. With a passion for ministering to youth and their families, Pastor Les started teaching children and youth Bible studies since the age of 15 as a member of True Way. For 5 years, he directed the Veritas Classical School of Southern California and served as a program manager for the Family Preservation Network for Triangle Christian Services. He is currently the Chief Executive Officer for Triangle's Women and Children's Shelter. The 25-year journey that the Lord has taken him on has brought him back to serve at True Way once again. Pastor Higgins humbly serves alongside his beautiful wife of 24 years, Tasha, and their 5 children, and he is also a longtime Gardena resident. Pastor Les, would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank you for having me here, Mayor Serta. We go back from times in the days when we sang in a choir together, and just to see everybody here as well. And I just want to express my appreciation for the wonderful environment you cultivate in this city. I grew up in Gardena. I went to Gardena Elementary. I went to Perry Junior High. I was student body president, so I got to be able to come up here in '86 and do what Mary and Noah were able to do and come up and give the flag salute. And I was the senior class president of Gardena as well. So you all allowed me to serve here, and you created a wonderful environment. I appreciate everything you're doing on social media and just keeping us informed of what's going on in the city. So I love this city. And just one last thing. There was a young man at the council meeting the last few weeks ago. He was 21 years old, and I asked him, he's a construction worker, and I asked him, why do you come to these meetings? He said, I just love this city. And so that's the same expression I have as well. I love this city, and I appreciate all you for your service and your kindness to us as citizens. So thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you again for that. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. Okay, well, next we have a couple of presentations here. We're going to first start tonight with item number 5A, which is recognition of public works staff for completing 2 railroad crossing projects. And I'm going to bring forward here Director Alan Rigg.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Thankfully, we've successfully completed both our railroad projects, I think on time, actually under time, and very successfully. I think hopefully you've ridden both of them. They ride quite nicely. We have a little video presentation, if we could show it, Becky, that just kind of before and after on both of these projects. And so with that, I asked for the ability for council to recognize the people that work so hard on this. Many of them have worked for the past year getting this all arranged. Many of them spent virtually all night, both weekends, out in the rain on some of it and in the dark, and in some pretty tough conditions. So first, from our engineering department, I'd like to recognize William Mendoza. Please stand. William was the lead engineer, project manager on both these projects. He was also the project manager when we did our Artesia crossing, and he will be the lead of the total refurbishment of Artesia Boulevard from Vermont to Western that starts in May, which is really going to be a great project. New medians, new asphalt, new landscape, and it's going to be quite a project. Matthew Au is here also. Edwin Ruiz, and Kevin Kwok. Those are our engineers that worked on the project. Also, one thing we learned, especially in Artesia, is in the middle of the night, traffic control needs to change. And when you're doing your asphalt, things need to change. So we had our field crew out there as well to make sure that things ran smoothly. They were out there very late as well. Jaime Roscoe, please stand. JJ Esparza, and Antonio Delgadillo. And then a critical thing we learned, especially in Artesia, and that is so critical in anything that we do these days, is the public outreach. We had the public message boards out, and Hong Lee, who's here tonight, led an effort for the very successful on the social media. You couldn't get away from it on any of the web pages, and I don't think we had one complaint. I don't think we had any complaints, but no complaints about people didn't know. We had worked with Google to have it taken off of their mapping software. So altogether, just an incredible effort. Probably one of the most intimidating projects I've ever been part of, shutting down 2 major roadways, and you've got the threat of rain, and you've got a lot of moving parts. You've got businesses that had to be accommodated and alerted and the like. So anyways, very proud that it's done, happy it's done. We're doing it so well, we hope that we had another railroad crossing. We just don't, because we've really got the whole deal down. But anyways, I appreciate your time and recognizing these folks here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, let's give them a big round of applause. I have to say, you're right, Director Rigg, that I can imagine this was very probably intimidating, because just imagining all the moving parts and just kind of seeing out there, there were so many different components happening, and just the feedback that I know I've gotten, and I'm sure the others have as well here, just people are so happy with just the difference going back and forth across the street. And just like I said, the outreach was amazing. And people just want to drive back and forth across the street just because they knew something had changed. And then they start texting different ones and saying, hey, we see it right away. So awesome job. So again, thank you guys. And I look forward to another great project like that. So, okay. Thank you. Okay, yeah, give them another round of applause. Okay, so next we have a couple of recognitions of retirement. I'm going to bring forward Director Crespo. And I'm not for sure if the retirees are here or not, but we can still recognize them, especially if they're watching. And it's something that's definitely warranted, because they put a lot of years in the city, and it should be recognized.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. First, I'd like to take the moment to recognize Mr. Daniel Lee. Sorry, I'm not used to wearing reading glasses, so comes with age. Okay, so transit mechanic Daniel Lee started his career with G-Trans in January of 2010. For over 15 years, Daniel dedicated his expertise, hard work, and passion to keeping the city of Gardena's transit fleet running smoothly. As a highly skilled mechanic, Daniel played a critical role in maintaining and repairing buses, ensuring safety and reliability of public transportation for the community. His meticulous attention to detail and commitment to excellence earned him the respect of his colleagues and supervisors. Now retired, Daniel leaves behind a legacy of dedication and service that has had a lasting impact on the city's operation. He is most well known for his beautiful smile. He was always smiling in the yard, and that's what the guys always said. They always had, he was always a friendly face to see, but also a very expert mechanic. So he's to be commended for.
All right.
The other employee that we were recognizing today would be Mrs. Tanya Hill. So Miss Hill started her career in G-Trans in April of 1998 as a bus part-time operator, and became a full-time operator in 1999. Those who know Tanya will be the first to tell you she has a great personality. She is a people person who is always thinking of others by bringing coffee or treats to her coworkers, showing she was always thinking of you. She always puts others first. Tanya's positive attitude and bubbly personality made her great with customers and made her someone who was always approachable. During her career, she was known to be very helpful and was always willing to lend a hand. She was an overall great employee and brought joy to those around her. We wish Tanya the best in her retirement. Thank you, Ms. Hill, for your 25 years of dedication to G-Trans in the city of Gardena.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'd just like to thank Daniel Lee for his 15 years of service to our city, as well as Tanya Hill for her 25 years of service. So let's everyone please just give them both a round of applause. And thank you for reading that about each one of them, Director Crespo. Okay, and then next we have a certificate of recognition to Luis Enrique for his service to the community as a member of the Gardena Economic Business Advisory Commission. Is he here with us today? He's not? Okay, well, we'd just like to thank Mr. Enriquez for his 2.5 years of service to the Gardena Economic Business Advisory Commission. That's a great commission to sit on, and we always appreciate any of our local leaders and business owners who take the time to participate in that. So, Luis Enrique, if you're listening out there, thank you again for your service. Okay, next we have item number 5D, which is a quick, not a quick, but a presentation from our Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. Presentation, I believe, is being put on tonight by Ms. Caroline Gongora. Okay.
Good evening, Honorable City Council. My name is Caroline Gongora, and I am a Public Information Coordinator at the Greater LA County Vector Control District, and I'm here to talk about everybody's favorite insect, which is the mosquito. Well, I guess it depends who you ask. So just a little bit about our district. I will be giving an overview of our services and our programs that are offered to the residents of Gardena. But first of all, we are the largest of the 5 vector control districts that service LA County. If you look at the map to your right, that is the map of all of the vector control districts, and our district is the one in orange. So as you can see, we go north to Santa Clarita, south to San Pedro, parts of Long Beach, and east all the way to Diamond Bar. So of course that includes the city of Gardena, and we do offer services for mosquitoes, black fly, and midges. Our services are funded by property and special assessment taxes, and currently our cost is per single family home being $18.97 annually. The 2 mosquito-borne diseases of concern for residents here in Gardena are dengue fever. It is a growing threat, not only globally, but also locally. In 2024, we did have 140 travel-associated cases within our service area, but we've also had locally acquired cases. So we did have 14 in LA County, and of those 14, we did have 3 within our service area. West Nile virus continues to be a problem because it is endemic in LA County, meaning that every single year we'll see some type of activity, either it be human cases, positive mosquito samples, or dead birds. We do follow an integrated vector management approach, meaning that we use surveillance, control, and education to protect the public from mosquito and mosquito-borne diseases. We do have 3 main departments. I'll just briefly go over them. So the first one is our operations department. So this is a department that residents may be more familiar with because they are the most public-facing and boots on the ground. So some of the high visibility services include responding to service requests that we receive from the public and other agencies as well. Mosquito-borne disease cases. So as I mentioned, we do respond to certain cases when it comes to mosquito-borne diseases, and they conduct door-to-door yard inspections. So they are the ones that go to businesses and residential properties and do those inspections outside of the home. Some medium visibility is we do have a lot of staff that not only monitor, but they inspect and treat various public sources. One of them, as you see in that photo, is the flood control channel in various cities, not only in Gardena. And we also monitor swimming pools. We make sure that swimming pools are operational and that residents are maintaining them so they don't become a breeding source for mosquitoes. So here we see one of our inspectors treating an abandoned swimming pool and street gutters as well. This is where a lot of residents see us in the summertime and around their neighborhood when we're treating those street gutters. Some areas that residents may not think about when it comes to mosquito control is the underground storm drain system. So in the wintertime, mosquitoes do go underground because of the humid conditions. So for us, mosquito control is all year round. And you do see them. We also have early missions, just like your public works staff, where we do have early missions where we go out at nighttime and in the early morning to treat these areas to avoid those high traffic streets. We do work with other agencies to control and do physical control in the flood control channels and stormwater systems to make sure that we are pushing that debris and making sure that water is moving and flowing and not becoming stagnant. Here you see a map of the city of Gardena and includes some of the mosquito sources, such as residential, public, ponds, pools, stormwater structures, and drains. In 2024, we did inspect over 2,300 sources. So we are all about, as I mentioned, those are just some of the sources that we do, but we all are behind the scenes and also in the public space when conducting mosquito control services. Our second department is our scientific and technical department that consists of vector ecologists that do black fly surveillance, primarily in the LA River near the Dodger Stadium. We also set and collect mosquito traps. We do collect the mosquitoes from those traps. We identify them and send a portion to UC Davis for testing. So they are the ones that let us know if they test positive for West Nile virus, dengue, and these other diseases. And then we also collaborate with the state when it comes to the dead bird testing program because they are an indication or early detection system when it comes to West Nile virus activity. Really briefly, I want to talk about an exciting project that we are working on, which is called the sterile insect technique, where we use X-rays to sterilize male mosquitoes because, fun fact, male mosquitoes do not bite. It's only the females. So we sterilize them, we release these sterile male mosquitoes over time in a targeted area, and then these sterile male mosquitoes mate with the wild females. And why do we do this? It's because in the sterile insect technique, also known as SIT, we will actually see a reduction in the mosquito populations over time because when the sterile male mosquitoes mate with the wild females, the eggs do not hatch. Hence why we see a reduction in the mosquito populations and also in the disease risk. Some good benefits aside from that, it's that it's non-chemical and eco-friendly. And then lastly, our communications department, my favorite department, but I'm a little bit biased. I am from that department, and we do promote public awareness of the district services because a lot of people don't know who we are. We want to make sure that they know that they are paying into our agency and that we're here to help. And we also educate the public about mosquitoes and vector-borne diseases because mosquitoes do not discriminate. Even for those of us who work in mosquito control, we also get bit. And we do that through community outreach, youth education, city/community presentations like today, and then also using traditional media and social media. And then lastly, we do hope that we encourage the city to continue collaborating with us. I know Trustee Francis is a great collaborator when it comes to connecting us with the city to inform residents, not only through our social media, but also through the city's websites, community events such as the Harvest Festival, one of my favorites. It's just really educating and letting the public know that there is an agency to help them when it comes to mosquitoes, and they're not alone in the fight with mosquitoes, and that we are here to help any way that we can. And then with that, that's the end of my presentation. I am available for any questions that you may have. If not, that's the end.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions anyone has? Let's start here, Councilmember Henderson, and then Francis.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Caroline, for that presentation. In regards to releasing the sterile males out into the population, over time, we're going to have a reduced population, but what does that do to the larger ecosystem? Because I know mosquitoes are a bug for us, but they have some mission in the overall ecology of nature. Will that disrupt that at all?
Yes, that's a good question. I wish I had a good answer for you. Mosquitoes do not really serve a big purpose in the ecosystem. They do act as a food source for some insects in their aquatic stages. They also are, to some degree, pollinators. So male and female mosquitoes do pollinate flowers here and there, but not to a large degree like bees, for example. So they don't really provide or a big part of the ecosystem. I still am trying to figure out why mosquitoes continue since the dinosaurs, but they've hacked away into continuing their survival. But if we were to eradicate them, I think there wouldn't really be a big impact to the ecosystem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Francis?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. As I heard you mention swimming pools, and so what can I, as a homeowner, or what can I do to help?
Yes, good
keep down
question.
mosquitoes.
Yeah, so one, if residents do have a pool, just making sure that that pool is clean, it's operational, make sure the water is moving, that it has a good chemical treatment and pump. As long as the water is nice and clear and moving, there should be no problem. When it becomes green and stagnant, that's the issue. So definitely either making sure, working with us as well, we do work with residents and giving them time. I know everybody has a different financial situation, especially with our elderly. Just working with them, making sure that they can make it operational or it becomes dry. And then if for residents who don't have a pool, but maybe as they're walking, with their families, their pets, and they notice a green swimming pool, they can definitely, and I encourage them to report it to us. We do accept anonymous reports. So we don't say, Trustee Francis is walking around and she's the one who reported you. So definitely for those who don't have swimming pools and they notice it, just to report us, because it is a big public health concern, because that's where the Culex mosquitoes that can transmit West Nile virus prefer to breed in.
Thank you for your presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Okay, next we have a presentation from our Beautification Committee. And leading that off tonight is Councilmember Francis, or do you have a board member here that's doing that tonight? Are there representatives from the board here?
We should have a video, don't we have a presentation? Yeah, we do have a video presentation, so, but do I have any of my commission members here? I think I have one or two, but anyway, the Beautification Commission sole purpose is to help improve the physical environment of City of Gardena. And I'll just leave it there. We have 9 members, and we meet on every third Thursday of the month. And if you have any concerns, please give me a call. Thank you. Barbara, hey, you want to come? It's Barbara Phillips. She's one of our commissioners. You want to come on up, or you don't have to if you don't want to. It's okay. All righty. This is Barbara Phillips, one of our commissioners. Would you care to have a word or two, or no? Right there is good. Right here? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So did you want to talk about your experience with the commission, or? I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
On the spot. This is, I'm surprised.
Thank you for coming.
This is 2 surprises in one month. But yes, I'm glad to be on the committee. We have a good committee. We have good camaraderie. Mm-hmm. We disagree to disagree, but it's all fun, and I like it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. And there we have it. So holiday home decorating contest, home of the month, and Keep Gardena Beautiful Day. That's coming up this third Saturday in September. So last year we had about 500 folks out helping to clean up the city and clean around railroad tracks and just do all we can to clean up our city and make it beautiful as always. So thank you so much. That's my presentation.
Okay, thank you. And before we go on to our Gardena events, let me just do some quick housekeeping here. So tonight, if you'd like to participate in this meeting, you can participate via the following options. The first way is you can always view our meeting live. You can always view our meeting live on Spectrum Channel 22 or online at youtube.com/City of Gardena. The second way to participate is prior to the meeting, you can email our Deputy City Clerk at publiccomments@cityofgardena.org by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting and write public comments in the subject line. And the third way is you can always attend our meetings in person. Regarding public comments, the City Council will hear from the public on any item on the agenda or any item of interest that is not on the agenda at the following times. If it is an agenda item, at the time the City Council considers that item or during oral communications. If it's a non-agenda item during oral communications, or if it's a public hearing, at the time the public hearing is listed on the agenda. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete a speaker request form, and it looks like this, and present it to our City Clerk or our Sergeant at Arms. Please raise your hand. And you will be called to the podium by name when it's your turn to address the City Council. The City Council cannot legally take any action on any item not scheduled on the agenda. Such items may be referred for administrative action or scheduled on a future agenda item. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council will be given 3 minutes to speak. Also, the city has standards of behavior that promote civility at all of our meetings. We treat everyone courteously. We listen to others respectfully. We exercise self-control. We give open-minded consideration to all viewpoints. We focus on the issues and avoid personalizing debate. And we embrace respectful disagreement and dissent as democratic rights, inherent components of an inclusive public process and tools for foregoing sound decisions. So at this time, I'd just like to thank you guys in advance for your cooperation as well as your attendance. So next we have our events video. job. Okay, next up, we have a proclamation tonight for the Fair Housing Month, which is April of 2025. And tonight, accepting this from the Fair Housing Organization is Alice Nguyen. Please come forward. While she's coming forward, I'm going to read the proclamation. It reads as follows. Whereas one of the greatest freedoms enjoyed by Americans is the freedom to live in a home of one's choice, and whereas the promise made to us by the nation's fair housing law requires that all people be treated equally in connection with the sale or rental of housing, regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, gender, identity, disability, sexual orientation, marital status, age, familiar status, or religion. And whereas this year marks the 57th anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act, this original legislation targeting the elimination of housing discrimination in America, and whereas since the adoption of the fair housing legislation in April of 1968, the month of April has been designated as Fair Housing Month. And further, each year, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Fair Housing Foundation have organized events and activities to focus attention on the issue of equal opportunity in housing. So at this time, we proclaim April 2025 to be Fair Housing Month in the city of Gardena and call upon each citizen of this community to support fair housing and equal opportunity in housing efforts by putting into practice the principles of freedom, justice, and equality upon which this great nation was founded. Ms. Nguyen, would you like to say anything?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My name is Alicia Nguyen, and I'm with Fair Housing Foundation, and we thank you very much for this proclamation in helping us acknowledge Fair Housing Month. And we really appreciate your city's fundings, as well as the support from the city council members and also the dedicated staff, so that we can continue on delivering this support and also assisting our community, learning about their rights and responsibilities as landlord and tenants. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, too. All right, let's please give her a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so next we have item number 7A, which is any appointments. So at this time, does any council member have any appointments to any commissions, committees, councils, or board at this time?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
It gives me pleasure to appoint Ms. Annie Roddy to the Remediation Committee. She's been a longtime resident. She's a property manager. She's involved in numerous nonprofits. She volunteers. She's at many of our events, and it just gives me pleasure to appoint Annie Roddy tonight.
Okay. So there was a motion made to appoint Annie Roddy to the Rent Mediation Board. Is there a second? I'll second it. Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by myself. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
No.
I'm sorry.
Tanaka and then me. That's okay.
Mayor Serta.
No. Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That's
Mayor
okay.
Pro Tem
Yes.
Tanaka. Mayor Serta.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yes.
Okay. You've been appointed to this position. At this time, we're going to actually have the swearing in. So, Madam City Clerk, if you can come forward, and Ms. Roddy, if you can come forward as well.
Yes, ma'am. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Annie Roddy,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support
that I will support
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State
and the Constitution of the State
of California
of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution
to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of the
Constitution
State of California,
of the State of California,
that I take this obligation
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
discharge
discharge
the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon the duties which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then, Ann, if you'd like to say anything, you can just go to the podium.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I'm always available to speak to each and every one of you, your concerns, and I hope to serve my community well. Thank you for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you again for accepting. Okay, so next we have our consent calendar. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on any items on the consent?
No, we do not, Mayor.
Okay, so at this time, and I'm sure everybody's had the opportunity to look it over, is there any items anybody would like to discuss separately? If not, can I get a motion to?
Mayor, if I may, just 8F, I'd like to hear a little about our annual housing progress report, just a little bit about that, what's going on.
Okay. That being said, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of item number 8F?
I'll move it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, item number 8F. What was your question?
Questions about the annual, now there's an annual progress report that's presented, and how are we doing? I couldn't get when I read the report, I couldn't get a real solid idea of whether or not we're making progress, meeting our obligations, or I guess it has to do with arena numbers and all that.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Serta and members of the City Council. I'm Councilmember Francis in regards to your question. So agenda item number 8F is the annual progress report for the city's general plan. There's two components to it. One of them is an overall reporting of the city's progress and its general plan that includes all the different elements and policy documents, including the recreation open space plan, safety plan, but also an element within there which is required and which the city is well aware of is the housing element. And the state's Housing and Community Development Department requires a separate report specifically to identify the number of housing units that the cities and counties are bringing into their areas to exactly, to your point, to see how they're meeting their RENA allocation. So the city reported for 2024 under that that a total of 189 units were permitted. That's how the state counts the number of units in the city to meet our RENA numbers. So in 2024, the calendar year, the city issued a total of 189 permits for new housing units. And those would be then go towards meeting our RENA allocation.
So the state we're pretty much obligated to state to meet the housing. You know, we hear all about the housing crisis and not enough housing to go around. And so each city has an obligation to approve.
So to answer your question, the city has an obligation to plan for that certain amount of new housing units. So every city and county in the area gets an allocation. They get a new RENA number. The city got a number, and our only obligation is to allow for it in our policy documents for those number of units to be built in the city. And we've done so. When the final adoption of the housing element came up to the city council, it did include all the zoning changes that would implement the new zones in the city to allow for those new housing units. The city has met its obligation, and if developers want to come in and propose a project that does meet the city's standards, do meet those standards that were identified in the city's regulations, then the city can approve for them as long as it meets all applicable local standards.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you have an idea what that number was? I remember.
It's ingrained in my memory. So yes, the total number for the city and its 6-cycle housing element, again, that's for an 8-year period between 2021 and 2029, was for 5,735 new units.
Tell me that number again.
5,735 units was the number that the city was allocated for an 8-year period to plan for that amount of units. And the city has met its obligation in doing so.
Planning. So are there any times where we cannot approve a housing project, or we just have to, whatever comes our way, we have to approve it? Or is there?
So if there is a project that the city is required to impose also objective standards towards housing projects. The city has implemented some. Again, it's more of a checklist. That's what the state is looking for. If there's a project that comes in and it meets all the city's checklist, then the city does have a requirement to approve that project. If there's any projects that are outside of that checklist, it is to the discretion of the city.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
One of the things I wanted to mention, since we're bringing up that number of 5,735, it's a large number, but the way a lot of this started in a lot of communities was that there were a lot of people who just didn't want these projects out there. Community folks just came out and they're like, nope, we don't want it. And even though every city said, hey, we're going to build and we're going to build, they were saying it, but they weren't approving a lot of the projects. And not that I'm in favor of the state doing this, but that's why the state came forward and said, okay, we're going to start imposing these numbers on you guys, these RENA numbers here, because we are obligated to do it. And the state decided they were going to try to take control of this here. I still feel like, and I think most of the council here feels like, local control, we need to be in charge of this. But unfortunately, it was just because city councils weren't approving these projects, like they should have, just because a lot of folks said, hey, we don't want it. It's going to make our community too dense. That's why the state came in to do that. So our hands are kind of tied behind our backs. We have to do this and, kind of move forward with this. So just so that the community understands how RENA numbers even came into play, why we're even doing this. And I don't know, Amanda, is there anything more you need to add just so that our community understands that, or as it relates to RENA numbers? Because we keep talking about RENA numbers and everybody's like, but why? So.
No, I think you explained it very well. Again, this is a requirement for every city and county within the area to plan for the amount of units. The city's met its obligation, and if a project comes in, we do have those policies. We try to implement as many as possible in order to allow for that the local controls still. But you are right that at times the city hands are tied on certain projects. And if it meets those requirements, the city is only obligation then it would be to allow for those projects in these areas. Again, 189 units were permitted last year, and again, those will go towards meeting the city's numbers.
And thank you for providing this chart for us to reference that, just so we can kind of see where we're at. So,
I have a question.
Oh yeah, Councilmember Love.
I just want to be clear that the state required the city to design the housing element, which we have done, to get the housing element approved by the state, which we have done. And we've changed some codes and standards to allow for more housing to be built, correct? So with that being the case, we are only required to approve projects that are pretty much by right projects, meaning that if a developer comes into the city with a project that meets all of what we already have on the books, then we are required to approve those projects. However, if a developer comes in and wants to build a high density, high unit floor project like the one we just passed, we are not required to approve those type of projects.
Yes, again, so if there is a project that seeks a change to the city's zoning or general plan, those are considered what's called discretionary projects. They are to the discretion of the city to review those.
And so when we look at the arena numbers and we look at what the state has required from the city, has the city met their obligations with the state?
So it's an 8-year period, again, a total of 5,735.
Right.
As of this time, with year 4, within the 8-year plan, the city has permitted for a total of 966 new units.
But we're not, what I want the community to understand is that we are not obligated to add 5,735 units. The state is asking us to. The state has required us to show good faith that we are putting forth an effort to do that. But as long as the project fits within the scope that the city has already provided, then we have no choice. However, looking at a lot of the projects that are trying to come into the city, these high-density projects, we are not obligated if they are not within the scope of this that the city has already established. And so there's a lot of questions and a lot of confusion. When you look at the 5,735, the residents are assuming that we have to add that many. And to my knowledge and understanding, we are not obligated to add that. We are only obligated to provide the ability if projects come into the city that are within our standards. Am I correct?
Again, yes. So if the project, again, the city has met its obligation in those sites that were identified in the housing element. Again, any project, can come before the city still and make those requests. It's to the discretion of the city.
Thank you. I just wanted them to understand the difference between the by right projects and the discretion that we have at the council. Thank you for your explanation.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, that being said, can I get a motion to approve item number 8F?
Move.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Madam City Clerk, a motion is made by Councilmember Francis and a second by Councilmember Love.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. We have 2 items from the March 18th meeting. The first one is the environmental assessment, item number 1824, and conditional use permit 8-24. So the Planning Commission considered a request for conditional use permit to operate an amusement arcade within an existing commercial tenant space within the general commercial C3 zone district in accordance with section 18.32.030.h of Gardena Municipal Code. The project was considered categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15301, as an existing, facility project, and section 15061B3. The project location is 1425 West Artesia Boulevard, and the Planning Commission voted 5-0 approving the project here. So at this time, the only action is to receive and file or call for review. And if there are none at this time, we'll go ahead and receive and file that item. The next up is item number 10B, also the March 18, 2025 meeting. This was also an environmental assessment 20-24, a CUP 9-24. The Planning Commission considered a request for a conditional use permit to operate an amusement arcade within an existing commercial tenant space within the general commercial C3 zone district in accordance with Section 18.32.030.H of the Gardena Municipal Code. The project was considered for categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA guidelines, Section 15301, as an existing facilities project, Section 15061B3. The project location is 15484 Southwestern Avenue. This item here was, let's see. This item was approved. Let's see. Staff. Okay, I'm sorry. This item here was approved with 5-0 here. And also this item here can either be call for review or receive and file. And if there are no objections, we'll just receive and file this item. Next up is oral communications. We do have 2 speakers here. And I'd just like to remind our speakers, you do have 3 minutes to speak. When the yellow light comes on, okay, when the yellow light comes on, that lets you know that your 2 minutes are up. And when the red light comes on, that lets you know that your time is up. First speaker tonight is Andrea Simmental. The second one is Arohai Sharma, and the third one is Jordan, but no last name.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm Andrea Simmental, the Community Library Manager at Gardena Mamie Deer Library. I'm here to announce upcoming programs at the Gardena and Masao W. Sato Libraries. At Gardena Library, tomorrow, Wednesday, March 26th from 5 to 7, join us to learn about raising responsible teenagers, explore strategies to take home and try with your family. This seminar will be led by an accredited P Positive Parenting Program librarian, and that's for parents and caregivers of children ages 13 to 17. A free vaccine clinic will take place on Wednesday, April 2nd from 1 to 3 p.m. Free flu vaccinations and the updated 2024-25 COVID-19 vaccine will be available, and that's for ages 6 months of age and over. And join us for the Gardena Valley Friends of the Library book sale on Saturday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Books will be $5 a bag. Bags will be provided by the FOL. CDs and DVDs are $1. Some items will be specially priced. And grow with us, learn about our seed lending library. Celebrate Earth Day and launch of our seed lending library on April 22nd. Drop in and plant the seeds of your choice in a starter pot. All supplies will be provided while supplies last. And at Masao W. Sato Library on Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 12:30 p.m., there will be a P Positive Parenting Program seminar. Join us to learn about raising responsible teenagers and explore strategies to take home and try with your family. This seminar will be led by an accredited P Positive Parenting Program librarian, and that's for parents and caregivers of ages 13 to 18. Play and Explore is on Friday, April 4th from 11 to 11:30 a.m. Join us for a morning of play, curiosity, and creativity. Help children learn social and emotional skills and develop fine and gross motor skills in our play day and enjoy a unique family bonding experience. And that's for children ages 0 to 4 and their caregivers. And Parent Cafe is Tuesday, April 8th from 3:30 to 4 p.m. Please join us for an opportunity to chat with other caregivers and gather parenting tips from a P Positive Parenting librarian. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Arohai Sharma. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. And then after that is Jordan.
It's all good. Thank you for taking a crack at it. So Honorable Mayor, City Council, good evening. Thanks for opening up the discussion for public comment. My name is Arohi Sharma. I'm actually a resident of Torrance, but I gotta say, the vibe that you all curate, the music that you use for the videos, and the way that you've engaged members of the community, particularly the youth, for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm incredibly inspired. I'm gonna wanna take some of that and recommend it over to our Torrance City Council. Thank you for leading by example there. My name is Arohi. I work for an environmental nonprofit organization on healthy food, water, and climate policy for the state. But after 5 p.m., I'm a volunteer with a local nonprofit organization called the League of Women Voters Torrance area, which actually includes our lovely city of Gardena. We have several members from Gardena and are always looking to expand our membership. So wink, wink to all of you up there on the dais and to the folks in the room. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages active participation in government and policy. I'm here this evening to share the news about an exciting Earth Day event that actually precedes the seed swap that the previous speaker mentioned. This Earth Day event is hosted by the League, and it's happening on April 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Torrance Kathy Geisert Library. I don't know about you all, but we're feeling the impacts of climate change daily. Wildfires ravaging homes and adding chaos to the insurance market, rising temperatures causing droughts, and air pollution caused by the burning of fossil fuels. Instead of feeling despair and hopeless, local advocates in our community in the broader South Bay are rising to the challenge and fighting for change. So on April 21st, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Kathy Geisert Library, the League of Women Voters is empowering, asking local advocates to come and speak, and hosting a workshop that empowers our community members to move from awareness of these issues that affect us on a daily basis to action. How can we turn that anxiety into something palpable that we can take to our elected leaders, locally and the state? So we hope that you all can join us, and we hope you move from awareness to action by spreading word about our event. I have some flyers. I wasn't sure how many to print. Is there anyone that I can leave them with?
Right there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Jordan.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
So I've been a resident of this city for quite a while, and I think one of the most pressing issues right now is homelessness and bums. I just want to address this because it's every morning I go to work about 3 a.m. It doesn't matter where you go. There's bums littered through every shopping plaza. I want to remind you that the Supreme Court has ruled, the city of Grants Pass versus Johnson, that cities and states are now, you guys have clear way to just enforce the laws. You guys can arrest them. You guys can ticket them all the way until they turn into warrants. But what I see every day is, for instance, my parents live by Massfukai Park. There's a charging station for the homeless to come charge their phones up at 2, 3 in the morning. And what I try to understand is, what is you being the chief executive, what are you and the council doing to address this? Because you guys are clear to arrest these people. They're not single-age women with 2 kids walking at 3 in the morning trying to find bread and food. These are single-age males who 9 times out of 10 are on PCP, methamphetamine, crack. You guys heard about the El Camino murder. She was murdered by a transient, a bum. All through this county and state, now I know this problem is not just here in Gardena. It's statewide, it's countywide. We all know that. But you have cities like Redondo Beach. Time and time again, I hear about, cities like to mirror each other's policies, right? City of Redondo is now operating on 0 street homelessness, 0. But when I go down Normandy, for instance, let me be clear. Gardena PD does a damn good job. You call them, they're there as fast as they can, right? But I have an idea. How about we dedicate maybe 1 or 2 days, Operation Hammer, and let's go arrest all these people because they all have drugs on them. They're all in the motels, but it seems like they have more leeway in the city to just wander, litter. There's no tickets. I've had an officer tell me, do you want her trespassed? What is a trespass going to do? She doesn't even have a home. She has no vehicle. She'll just come right back. One time I had a homeless person come inside the house. We left our front door open on accident. And the person came inside. And the officer said, do you want her trespassed? that's not sufficient. What I'm asking you guys again, and I implore you, try leaving your homes at 2, 3 in the morning and just drive around Gardena. Particularly go to the shopping centers, and they're there. They're there, and it just seems like there's nothing being done. Like, absolutely nothing. The governor has said it. The biggest stain, the biggest scar on this state is homelessness. But let me say it again. It's not the homeless. It's the bums.
Okay. Sir, your time is up. Now, we normally, I'm sorry, man, we don't.
And I know it's going to get deferred for me to go speak to Gardena PD,
No. I'm actually going to go out of order with something that I don't normally do, only because you made the comment. And I just want to make sure that the community knows this. And I want to ask the chief to come up and address some of the things that are being done as it relates to homelessness in Gardena. And we hear you. I want you to know, we all know it's an issue going on everywhere.
The state is tired of it.
Okay, Chief, if you don't mind coming up and just explain what we're doing right now as it relates to homelessness in the city of Gardena, and even the recent success we had with the homeless count, just so that, Mr. Jordan, so that you're aware of that. And if you can just kind of share that, just reiterate with the community and even how we notify folks on homeless situations.
So homelessness is something that we've dealt with for many years at the Gardena Police Department. And years ago, we started a GMET team. It's a Gardena Hawthorne mental evaluation team to help our officers respond to these types of issues. There has been an influx of people coming and going through Gardena, but our team has impacted it in such, as well as our homeless coordinator from the city, so that this past year, we lowered our homeless count by 50%, which was a significant reduction. I've heard the claims about zero homelessness in Redondo. What I'll tell you is there's not a community anywhere here in Southern California that has zero homeless. That's an overstatement. The issue is how do we actually respond to it? And so what you have going for you in Gardena is that our officers, right, they know how to respond to that homeless person. Now, what you're referring to are actually criminals, people who are trespassing, people who are using drugs, and that's illegal, and that's something that we have to come out and we have to enforce. Now, we know that it happens early in the morning when people aren't aware of it, but that's what we encourage everybody to call, so that we effectively deal with it. But as far as the city is concerned, we know that we won't ever arrest our way out of the homeless problem, right? We're never gonna fully solve it by just arresting people. Although your suggestion as Operation Hammer, right, was something that I've heard before from people, but it's more of a complex problem. But I can tell you from this jurisdiction, compared to what's even surrounding us, is significantly less. But you going out to work early and seeing those issues, right, are significant to us to where we'd want to do something about that. So I would encourage all of our residents to, when they see that type of criminal activity, people stealing electricity, people using drugs in the corner, people trespassing, that they call us. And like you said earlier, our officers will be there. When you call, we come. That's our motto. And we will effectively deal with it. We do need the public to become involved, though. So one of the things that you did say was, hey, would you prosecute for this person trespassing? The problem is that some misdemeanors that are not committed in our presence, or that we need someone to take responsibility for to do a private person's arrest, we do need that to help us curb that activity. So although it might be frustrating, right, and it's not easily understandable, it's something that we would need to continue to impact our homelessness. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, you're out of time, but you can come back at the next meeting if you want to follow back up, only because I have to stick strictly to the 3-minute policy for everyone. But thank you for sharing that information with us. I do appreciate that. Okay, next we have to move on to our departmental items. We're going to begin tonight with item number 12A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, Agenda Item 12A is a single audit report required for federally funded programs for fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. Presented for City Council to receive and file is the City of Gardena single audit report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024, as prepared by the city's independent contracted auditing firm, Gruber and Lopez, Inc. The city is required to have a single audit performed on its major federal-funded programs pursuant to the audit requirement of Title II U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Part 200, Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, and Audit Requirements for Federal Awards, also known as Uniform Guidance. A non-federal entity that expends $750,000 or more during the non-federal entity's fiscal year in federal awards must have a single audit conducted. The major program determination for the federal grants for fiscal year 23-24 resulted in one major program being tested. That is the Federal Transit Formula Grants, G-Trans, federal expenditure audited for fiscal year 23-24 of $24,246,679. Again, the total expenditure for the major federal program G-Trans is $24,246,679. Total expenditures of federal awards is $27,218,979. So the percentage of total expenditures of federal awards is 89.1%. The audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards in the United States. The standards applicable to federal financial audits contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States and uniform guidance. The report on internal control over financial reporting provides a review of the city's financial reporting systems and procedures that are used to ensure accurate financial statements. An internal control is designed to provide reasonable assurance that the city meets its objectives regarding the reliability of financial reporting, effectiveness and efficiency of operations, and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. The auditor considers the city's internal control over financial reporting during the design of the audit, procedures for financial statements. The auditors do not express any opinion on the effectiveness of the city's internal control. The auditors did not find any material weakness or significant deficiency in relation to the internal control over financial reporting. The report on internal control over compliance provides a review of the city's internal control over federal compliance. The auditors identified no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies during their testing and reviewing of the internal control over compliance on the major federal programs. There were no audit findings. This is the second consecutive year that there were no audit findings. The single audit report was made available for public review at the city clerk's office and published on the city's website at www.cityofgardena.org/city-budget. There is no financial impact. What's required is to receive and file.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a comment, not a question, but Mr. City Manager, I want to thank you and the staff for your hard work. I think one of the things we pushed for in changing audit groups was to see if we got the same results. And so we did get the same results, which means we are doing a high level of work and scrutinizing ourselves in regards to our financials and how we keep our books. So thank you for that, because that was a concern I had before. Is like, we're flying out through all these audits, looking good. Let's see what happens if somebody else takes a look at what we do, and we still pass with no findings. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Okay. All right. If there's no one else, great job, and we're just going to go ahead and receive and file this item here. Okay, that being said here, we're going to move on to item number 14A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 14A is to approval of one-year agreement with Townsend Public Affairs, Inc. for legislative advocacy and grant funding services in the amount of $84,000. Townsend Public Affairs, Inc., or TPA, was hired by the City of Gardena in March 2022 to help secure state and federal funding for its priority projects. Efforts to advance the city's priority projects included the pursuit of earmarks in the state budget and federal appropriations bills for fiscal years 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25. The TPA partnered with the city to develop, advocate, and secure several major wins with our elected leaders in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. The TPA city team worked together to secure over $12 million in direct funding for priority projects identified by the city, including the following highlights: $4 million for the Digital Equity for All, Bridging the Digital Divide. This is championed by Assembly Member Murasuchi. $2 million for the Gardena Boulevard Revitalization, championed by Senator Bradford. $1 million for the Rosecrans Community Center, championed by Congresswoman Waters. $3 million for Raleigh Park Gymnasium, championed by Senator Bradford. $2 million for Masfukai Park, championed by Senator Ben Allen. And $122,410 for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, or EECBG program for electric vehicles. In addition to these items, TPA will continue to look for federal and state legislative opportunities for the city. TPA will not increase their fees for this agreement cycle and has been the same since the city contracted with them in March 2022. Total fees to date have totaled $252,000, and TPA has been able to secure over $12 million in funding, which is a 4,710% return on investment. What's required tonight is to approve the agreement. The financial impact is from the general fund, $84,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Townsend, I'm sorry, Townsend.
It's all good. Mr. DeLuca.
Mr. DeLuca, my apology. Would you like to say
Just don't
anything?
call me late for dinner. Absolutely. So, Honorable Mayor and council members, appreciate being here today. Mr. City Manager, you completely stole the thunder out of my PowerPoint presentation, so thank you very much. Just kind of a quick overview. First of all, we really appreciate the work with the city, with all of you and your great staff. It's been a great team effort. We've been around almost 30 years, and we're really proud to say that we've secured over $3.2 billion for our clients. We've also got a lot of bills signed into law, and that's one other thing I was going to talk about. So as the senior manager said, hired back in March of 22, so we've had a 3-year run. The highlights of over $12 million in state and federal funding. And again, want to highlight this is a partnership with our team, your team, and their legislators and their team. Boom. I mean, this is pretty awesome. I'll tell you what, there's a good amount of cities I work with that would be really stoked to get that 4,000% return on investment. So that's the amount the city's invested. That's the time we've worked with you all. That's the amount secured. And as the city manager said, over 4,000% return on investment. So quick summary of our successes. 22, 3 earmarks, 23, 2 earmarks, 23, the energy block grant, just like I said, as the city manager said, so over 12 million. I'm just gonna kind of quickly do the rundown just because this is gonna lead to something really important that I wanna highlight that didn't hit the score sheet, but I do wanna give Congresswoman Waters her credit for her office too. So those were the 3 wins in 2022. Those were the 2 wins in 23. And so last year, around this time, we were working with the city team, submitted 2 federal earmark requests to our 2 senators and our congresswoman. The Masfukai Park, which was moving forward, and Mayor's, our discussion where we talked about the Juvenile Justice and Intervention Project, and I really want to thank your PD because we turned around that application pretty quickly, and Congresswoman Waters latched onto that one too. So there was $550,000 for juvenile justice, and there was $250,000 for Masfukai Park. 2 weeks ago, due to the president and conservative Republicans, every single earmark was wiped out of that funding bill. And there might be comments about what did we do to stop that. God, I wish we had the power to stop the president and some of his actions. So I really want to give Congresswoman Waters and her office credit because those were those 2 wins that were moving forward. And what happened is the Republicans and the president wiped out every single earmark. So not just California, but nationwide. So what are we going to be doing for 25? Been working with the city team. We're going to resubmit those applications and maybe a couple of others. We've got some deadlines coming up on Friday. We're going to have some deadlines coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've heard clearly from both senators, Senator Padilla and our new senator, Senator Schiff, they like earmarks. Congresswoman Waters has been a great champion. She also likes park projects, so we'll be pushing those forward also. What else is going on, you're going to ask? State funding. We've already submitted our state funding requests to our assembly members and to our senator, to our new senator, Laura Richardson. So they already have those requests. We'll know in May where the state budget stands. On that, I've had some really good discussions with the senator herself and her team. They've got a couple legislative proposals that they'd love Gardena support on. So I'll work with the city manager and the city team to present to you all some of the bills that we should support that our office has asked us to work on with them. So the state legislative efforts, that's what I've been talking about. Again, so what we're looking at for this year, ongoing grant funding efforts. We're going to continue to provide our ongoing weekly legislative updates. We're going to keep doing our ongoing monthly grant updates. Something that we also worked with the city closely on was that bill SB 649, which was about card rooms and casinos. That was a hard 2-year fight. I've been doing this 17 years. That was probably the most gruesome piece of policy that I've seen. And I know that a lot of the card rooms are now taking action towards the Attorney General's office to really stop that measure. So that was another legislative effort that we worked on. So looking ahead in 25, like I talked about, fiscal year 26 community project funding, which is underway. Fiscal year 25 state funding, which is underway. Ongoing efforts within the federal government, ongoing legislative efforts, which I just mentioned about working on some bills, and then ongoing grant support. As much as it's me today talking to you all, we have an awesome team behind us. We have offices in Sacramento, which is where I am. We have offices in DC. And I'm happy to answer any questions about any of our work and also any of the legislative items going on. The gentleman who spoke recently about homelessness, happy to talk about what's going on in the state legislature too on that topic.
Okay.
So there we have it. It's been an awesome partnership. Very grateful for all of you and happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? Okay, Councilmember, oh, do you have a question? Councilmember Francis, go ahead.
Yes, I do. So you say you identify priority projects for the city. How do you do that?
We work closely with your staff. So what we do, primarily towards the end of the legislative year, we get together and we talk about what are some of your priorities. We had a really good check-in with city staff a couple weeks ago about some of the park planning that you all have been doing. So city staff looped us into some of the park planning that you've been doing for some of your parks, which was really helpful because now we know what some of your priorities are when it relates to parks. So whether it's on the federal side or the state side, we now are looking at some projects to help meet those needs. So to answer your question directly, direct communication with your staff to be aware of what your priority projects are.
Okay, and in terms of getting the funding, do you go directly to our legislators, Congresswoman Maxine, or I'm just trying to figure out exactly what it is, what you do.
Absolutely, and similar to last year and the year before when there was questions about that, want to make it clear, this is a team effort. City's team, our team, your legislators, and their team. So what we do when we talk to city staff, we talk about, okay, what are some of your priority projects? They list them out. Due to some of the information from our team in DC and from our team in Sacramento, we know what some of those legislators, what their priorities are. You don't want to submit a project that you think is a priority, but that might not be important to a legislator, because more than likely that project's not going to go anywhere. So we make sure what we're requesting lines up with what they like. So then what we do is we formally work on either for the state budget, it's a letter directly to the legislators. On the federal side, it's an actual federal application for earmarks. So then we present that letter. So on the state side, we share the letter with your legislative delegation, talk to their staff and say, do you have any questions? Is there anything we can do? Can we help arrange a tour? Do you need to know behind the scenes? What other information do you like? And then me personally, I love following up with those offices on a either bi-weekly or weekly basis. What's going on? What are some of your priority projects? Senator or Assembly member, are there any bills that you're working on that you'd like us to be supportive of? Because it's definitely a two-way street. And then we stay in touch with them. We also talk to leadership. So for example, on the state side, there's a three-party deal on any budget. So for any budget earmarks, you gotta make sure the governor's office is on board. You gotta make sure the Assembly Budget Committee is on board and the Senate Budget Committee is on board. It is the legislator themselves that makes the request, and it is our duty and our job working with your staff that the requests are not only fully vetted, we've answered all questions, we've provided additional information and additional details.
And just one more quick question. That 4,000%, I'm just kind of curious about that math. How do you?
So it was how much you've paid us over the years and how much we've gotten for wins. So it was the 12 million divided by how much you all have paid us, and that's what we got to the 4,000%.
I got 4,000. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mr. Luca. Thank you for the presentation. One of the things I wanted to add in regards to the federal level, so I'm on the legislative committee for Southern California area governments, and we had that same concern in regards, it's mostly about transportation in the region, and we had that same concern about, every administration is different, so they're just kind of taking a hard line and everything. So what we've gone back and done, hopefully you can do for the city of Gardena, is go back and look at the language that would have been normal language so it's congruent now with the ideologies of the current administration, and then resubmit and everything, and then it should be okay. So we had a real long meeting about that, and just go back and look at the nomenclature, the definitions and everything, and then go back and make it more, again, palatable for the new administration and those that are making decisions, and then it should roll right through.
Council member, not only do I love your neckwear, but I love where you're coming from, because we had a discussion with their team on exactly that. And our federal manager, Ben Goldine, he was like, hey, folks, brand new administration, brand new phrasing, not just phrasing to use, but phrasing to stay away from. So we literally have an internal list on words to use and words to be, very sensitive to if we're putting them in an application and explaining that. So nice job for the COG working on that, but it's very much on point.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Councilman Love?
Yeah, I have several questions. I still struggle with this agenda item. We've had Senator Bradford come to council and state that he did not work with your office, but yet we got millions of dollars from him, and you have those grants listed on the paperwork. I also spoke with Laura from Congresswoman Waters' office in D.C., and I asked her about the grants. And from what I was told, she said that they only received an email with the list of projects, which I don't see spending $84,000 of the city funds to send a list of potential projects to our elected officials for them to buy into. Even Congresswoman Waters' office told me that because we have a relationship with her, all we have to do is talk to her office, her staff, and ask. I also spoke with Senator Allen's office and a few other people. And I even spoke to one of our neighboring cities that used to use your services. Now, if this was something that I thought we needed, I would be 100% on board. But when you consider, like you just mentioned, D.C. wiped out everything. So we can't expect to get anything from D.C. The state of California is in a major deficit right now. So I was just with our Assemblywoman, Tina McKenna, on Monday or Friday, one day not long ago. And a lot of times we weren't getting funding in the past because we didn't have relationships with the elected officials, with our senators and our state senators. But now we do. I think everybody on this council has a relationship with an elected official. So I need to understand a little more about the work that you do besides sending an email, because literally every elected official that I spoke with simply said that all they receive from Townsend is an email with a list of projects that you've reached out to the city. From the city's perspective, I think that the departments should know what projects they want to do. So I need a little more understanding as far as the grant funds or the federal and state funding that you're claiming, because like I said, you have two of Bradford projects on your paperwork, but Bradford came to council and stated himself that Townsend did not work with his office.
If I may, through the mayor, council member, I'm going to respect the perspective that you have, because that is your perspective. I stand firmly behind everything I say because I did it. As it relates to Senator Bradford and his comments, I want to respect his comments because those are his comments. I know for a fact how many discussions I had with his staff. whether it's his ledge director when we talked about Raleigh Gym, or whether it's his chief of staff when we talked about the funding for Gardena Boulevard. So I want to respect where everyone's coming from, but also as a person, I know what I did, and I understand where you're coming from. Again, you have your perspective, and I respect that. But I know how hard I personally work for this city, and it's not just sending an email. As an example, with Ms. Waters' office, talking to her staffer about the appropriations request, and an appropriations request isn't just an email. It's filling out a complete application. And it's us working on the narrative, getting the data, getting all that information. And I remember it was, so you submitted in March, it was around April or May, having numerous discussions with her office, with her lead staffer, about the request that we submitted. So whereas someone might just say, oh, it's just an email, it is so much more than that, because I know how many personal conversations that I've had. And as it relates to Senator Allen's office, I remember going into his office and briefing his chief of staff and his ledge director when Gardena was a new city in his district, and talking about all the different projects that we had. And they said, this is really helpful, come back and follow up and let's talk about what some of their needs are. And there was a lot of follow-up, a lot of check-ins, and a lot of partnership. So I'm never gonna say it was us that made absolutely everything happen, but we were a key member of the team. So I do respect where you're coming from, but when it comes to whether it's Bradford's office or Maxine Waters' office or Senator Allen's office, I know how many conversations I had personally with those offices and how much hard work we put into it.
So are you saying that we don't have staff that can write these narratives and submit these applications?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I think you've got great staff. They also have their hands full. We're also in Sacramento and we're in DC, where we see these offices. We can go and talk to those offices and follow up directly with those offices.
So what are you going to do now that the state and the federal government doesn't have any funding?
Federal government has still, so Senator Adam Schiff and Senator Alex Padilla, they've put out their portal for earmark requests.
Okay.
Senator Schiff's earmark request, his portal closes on Friday. Senator Padilla's office, his closes on Monday. So the earmark process is still going on. We're waiting for Ms. Waters to put out her request. Congress members are slowly putting out their requests, opening up their portals. So they're still going through the process of submit your applications, work with us on your applications, get us letters of support, come build your argument, and then let's work together to submit those.
But I'm also hearing that the portals are open, you can still submit the request, but if there's no funding.
I have not heard anything about the federal government not having any funding.
They have the funding. They have the funding, but they're choosing to spend the funding on different things. And I'm fully aware that the language that we have to now include and or stay away from is the uncharted territories that we have to work on. But like I said, as a representative of the community,
sure,
I can, and with all due respect for what you're saying, I just think that money, that $84,000, can be spent on something different in the community, because, like, literally, I know all of our elected officials. And I've even been told by one of our elected officials that the city doesn't get any money from them because we don't ask them. And it's like, if we have a request, put the request forward and let staff do it. Do you work with G-Trans?
Work with who?
Our transit department.
My point of contact is Mr. Beeman. I work through him with all the other departments.
Have you worked on any projects for transit? Because transit does an amazing job getting grants.
We've talked about, I remember, EV charging and some other transportation-related needs.
Okay, so, and I use G-Trans as an example, as an amazing example, in a couple of other departments, because they go after grants. They go after grants internally in the department. They've been very successful. So for the city to spend $84,000 to have an agency do what our staff can do, or our elected officials, my colleagues can do, I just don't understand. I just wanted to ask the question, give you an opportunity to put some clarity on it, and I appreciate your answer.
Thank you very much.
Okay. For myself, Mr. DeLuca, not Townsend, thank you for what you have done in the past here. Getting our city $12 million, I mean, that's amazing, because we've never gotten that in the past. And all the years that I've been on this council, 15 years, I know we've reached out and we've asked for money. But when I look at the description of your services, some of the things that you guys are able to do, track the legislation, draft the bill language, and just be there in Sacramento and in DC. Because when I've gone there, I've seen the process when you're trying to get in there and get like 2 minutes with the legislator there. And at the end of the day, you end up getting referred over to their staff person. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of who you end up really working with. So I get that. But just looking at all the different things that you guys do just to kind of stay on top of this, because time is of the essence. If you lose your date, we're getting your grants and so on in. I mean, that's just money you've lost for the year. So I get what your company does. I think that's commendable. You know, yes, things are a little different now because we have a new president in. And so, you know, the many years of service that Townsend has, this isn't the first time the Republicans have been in office versus Democrats. And I know you guys know how to pivot depending on whoever it is, regardless of whatever side you guys are on. And so, you know, just appreciating just the knowledge that you guys have with that. I think it's great, and the great working relationship that you have with our, you know, legislators in Sacramento. You know, I know from the letters that we've sent for various things, you know, we can constantly ask, but can we do what you do? Not necessarily, because this is, again, I'm looking at this whole list here, which is pretty awesome. And all of us are part-time elected officials, and I understand our staff has different jobs, and that's why you guys have the specialty of doing this job. So I commend that. One other thing I just wanted to commend you on is the fact that you guys were the ones who introduced me to Congresswoman Barbara Lee when she was running for senator.
Yep.
And just making that connection there, you know, I appreciate what Townsend did as she was running for the position of senator. And so thank you guys for that, because, you know, if not for that, I've never would have had the opportunity to meet her, have some just sit down time and discuss with her. So thank you for that, because you guys went even beyond what you guys normally do and just making sure this council knows what's going on at the next level. So with that, I definitely see where I would support you guys moving forward. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to add some additional commentary to this in regards to the conversation that always comes up, consultants versus staff and different things like that. Well, it's a challenge. Again, I'm staff in another group and a consultant in another group. The staff's function is to make sure they keep our lights on and keep the city running and keep it moving forward. As you start striving and reaching for additional funding and resources, that's beyond the 40, 50 hours that a staffer is doing. And so you need to pay specialists to be targeted on some of this work that is getting done. And it's more than just an email. It's more than just multiple conversations. It's a combination of things. It's our relationships, our discussions. It's your relationships, your discussions, your presence in D.C. in the legislative offices, in Sacramento in the legislative offices. It's also the packet. It's also who's receiving it on staff. Working with a staff, you may not be privy to all the sausage making going on. So for somebody to say, oh, they just sent an email. And again, I agree with you. We respect everybody's perspective on where they enter into the process. But at the same time, it is a process that requires conversation, applications, multiple touch points that staff in a regular 40, 50-hour week aren't able to do with all these touch points. Along with us, we all have personal relationships, but we're part-time. And so we're doing the touching we can, but somebody's got to continue to watch this thing and keep it going. So I like the return on investment, because again, we spent $84,000. We tried it with another group. We did get no ROI on it at all. And in this case, we have gotten a large return on investment because we're now investing in our community. So for those that are business minded, it takes money to make money, but in the public sector, you have to invest in yourself to now start getting opportunities to meet with these legislators. Historically, Madam Mayor, you're correct. The city hasn't been receiving a lot of these funding because our applications weren't properly submitted and or the relationships weren't properly pushed forward to make sure we got that. So again, I thank you for the work that you've done and everything, and hopefully if it passes, we continue to do more work, especially with the parks things that we want to do moving forward. You guys are going to look at changing some languages. The earmarks are there, whether there's funding or not. The earmarks need to be there. So when prioritization happens, our earmarks get selected, and then we kind of move forward. So that's all I want to say, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I have a quick one.
Okay.
So I understand there's some issue here, but I'm going to put the city manager on the spot. So $84,000 that we're going to pay them to go out and solicit for us. So if we didn't have them and we had to hire a full-time person in the city to do this, to travel to Sacramento, to travel to DC, to pay them a salary plus benefits and everything else that goes with it, would that cost $87,000 or would it be more?
It would be more.
So basically, and this price has not gone up in 3 years.
Correct.
And we've already got a 2,000% on our money.
400%.
So I can't understand why we would want to actually hire somebody within the city to pay more money and have somebody that goes to Washington or Sacramento that doesn't know the ins and outs. They would probably have to hit the ground running, but still be 1 or 2 years behind the curve, of which we would be losing money because they wouldn't know how to do it. So I think 84,000 is a small pittance. That is my statement.
Okay. All right. With that being said here,
Quick question, Madam
okay,
Mayor, if you don't mind.
Councilman Francis.
Just real quick. So I think maybe part of the concern is that maybe, is there any way we get like little semi-annual type progress reports or something like that?
Happy to.
Yeah, because that might, because you just see it and it's been like, well, when did you start this, or how do we identify that, or when was that said? So would that be possible to maybe
Happy
some
to.
of the concern? Just not monthly or anything like that, but maybe semi-annual. Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. That way I would get a better sense of what's going on, what you've been doing and how you're working for us.
I mean, respectfully, I was taught to never one-up an elected official. I mean, I'll one-up you. We can send you monthly updates on what we're working on.
Really?
We're proud of our work, and I understand different perspectives. I've also been doing this for 17 years, and I'm old school. I was raised by a Sicilian father who taught me the only thing you have is your work ethic. And I understand in today's day and age, there's a lot of like talks, who did this, who did that. Totally get it. Totally respect where everyone's coming from. I really do. But I got to be honest, I take it personally when someone calls out my work ethic. So I'm happy because I know how hard we work, not just me, my entire team. We have a full team in Sacramento and a full team in DC, so I'm happy to give you monthly updates. Before I started this job, I had a full head of hair and no grays.
I don't know, but maybe, I don't know what your schedule is, but maybe just a kind of mid-year kind of thing so we could.
I'm happy to work with the city manager and his team on just monthly updates of what we've been working on, written document. Absolutely.
Would that be all right with you, city manager? Or?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, Councilman Beloved.
With all due respect, I respect what you do, and I appreciate you respecting my position. But you have to also understand I am here for the good of my community.
Absolutely.
And so when I talk to the elected officials and they're telling me this, and then I come to the meeting and then listen to your presentation and you're telling me that, it puts me in the middle to try to figure out and understand. It's 3 sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth.
Never heard that. That's really
yeah, it's always 3. It's 3 sides to every story, and so I don't have a problem with the $84,000. What I struggle with is when I do my research and do my homework, and I speak to the elected officials and I speak to their staff, because I spoke to more than just Congresswoman's DC office. I spoke with the person that actually got the information, received an email from her, saw the letters and all of the stuff that you guys submitted to her. But when I hear her say, and this is the woman that makes sure that the checks are printed, when I hear her say, the city all they have to do is send us a request. And it's up to the Congresswoman and the senator in the assembly, because we're just one of many cities in their district. They only get so much money to allocate into their district. And so if we submit a project and we happen to get the project approved and it moves forward, then great. But I also know that there's possibilities that we won't get our projects accepted. I guess what I struggle with is I'm like you. I'm old school. I protect my integrity at all costs. And I respect you protecting yours and defending yours. But you have to understand, I don't know. And so when they're telling me this, and I hear them saying, no, they did not do the work. And when I even reached out to other cities that have done business with you guys, and I've heard from mayor of other cities telling me that they didn't get what they were paying for, then it puts me in a position where I have to drill down to see if the city is spending this money for something that's worth it. And so when I see listed on your list funding that the elected officials were adamant about not working with your team, but I see that those fundings are on your list, then it makes me question. So I respect the fact that you respect me and what I'm doing, and I hope you understand that I respect you, but I have to ask on behalf of my constituents how we're spending the money. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion by myself and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much. Have a
All
good
right.
evening.
Okay, next up is item number 16A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 16A is to approve the installation of Gardena decorative street lighting by Southern California Edison, or SCE, job number 506 on Gardena Boulevard between Vermont Avenue to Western Avenue and 162nd Street between Denker Avenue to Western Avenue. And authorize the city manager to execute the SCE application and contract in a form approved by the city attorney in the amount of $182,000, declare California Environmental Quality Act or CEQA exemption, and approve the remaining budget of $47,000 as a project contingency. To enhance the aesthetic appeal of the Gardena downtown to City Hall corridor, staff requests approval for the installation of decorative street lighting by SCE. This involves replacing the existing mast arms and fixtures on SCE-owned streetlights with decorative streetlights. The proposed improvements include the installation of 44 decorative lights along Gardena Boulevard from Vermont Avenue to Western Avenue and 9 lights along 162nd Street from Denker Avenue to Western Avenue. And for review purposes, a single decorative mast arm and fixture have been installed in front of City Hall and 162nd Street next to the crosswalk. The city's existing lights consist of flat glass fixtures on standard mast arms and concrete poles. The proposed SCE pre-approved streetlights feature a teardrop fixture with an ornate mast arm while utilizing the existing concrete poles. Staff has been coordinating with SCE to assess the feasibility of installing decorative streetlights without removing the existing concrete poles, thereby achieving significant cost savings. Replacing each pole is estimated to cost over $13,000, while the cost per light with this method is only $3,500 per fixture. The project is ready to proceed with the application process upon council approval. Additionally, SCE will continue to maintain the new streetlights as long as the pre-approved fixtures are used. Included with this report is a color chart provided by SCE for decorative arms and fixtures. The current model and installation is black. However, the council may direct one of the other 5 colors to be used for this project. The total estimated cost to install 52 decorative streetlights is $182,000 with an anticipated timeline of 6 months, including material lead time. Sufficient funds were appropriated and approved by the council during the fiscal year 22-23 capital improvement budget using lighting district funds. The source of funds is $244,600 from the lighting district funds, and it's broken down: installation by SCE $182,000, consultant and job cost $15,000, project contingency $47,600. What's required tonight is approved project installation by SCE with chosen color for fixture, authorize the city manager to execute the application and contract with SCE, and declare CEQA exemption and approve project contingency. And I believe, Director Rigg, you have a few slides to show us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, and good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. So this is kind of our parallel effort that we've been working on to revitalize downtown Gardena. We know that on the private side, you've authorized the grants for revitalization. You've chosen colors for the different buildings. In fact, what we did 2 weeks ago, we actually painted the walls adjacent to our parking lot. They were covered with all sorts of different colors, but trying to make it look better. So what we've done is we've been working with Southern California Edison. They own the poles, and they have very limited, there's very limited ability to change what the standard lights are. On the left is your standard Cobra head. It's a flat glass panel that points straight down. On the right is what's called the Carpinteria pole with the teardrop fixture. Lighting patterns are a little bit different on each of these. The one on the left goes kind of more flat, straight down onto the sidewalk and just immediately under the light. The decorative ones give more of a 360, a better lighting layout. So as the city manager mentioned, there's a variety of different colors that are shown on the left. Edison green, Edison brown, silver white, and Edison bronze. At this point, what we've done is I hope you've taken a look at the example we've done out here next to the crosswalk. It's a black color. The pole remains silver. And as what we try to do is to work with Edison to make this an easier project. It's $3,500 to redo the mast arm and the light, and it's $13,000 to do the whole pole. So here's your standard light. It's what's called a Marbalite pole, kind of like a exposed aggregate pole. And then here is the pole. The two on the left are what we put up on 162. The one on the right is very similar. It's what Redondo Beach has installed down in the Riviera on Catalina. So kind of mimicking that. We've heard that. We've heard before that kind of the lighting, the decorative lighting. I know people also like, is shown on the pole on the right, is that string lighting that goes back and forth across the street that City of LA has on their side of Vermont. Unfortunately, Edison won't allow us to connect those string lights to their poles. We have an option. We could explore a different time and cost if we wanted to install our own poles, just steel poles, and put that decorative lighting or the string lighting, but that would be a different project. So here's the location of the different lights. We chose to do them Gardena Boulevard, the downtown, and then also adjacent to the City Hall complex on both sides. And those would be the locations. And I will go back to the locations. We're excited about it. It would be fairly quick to implement, and it would beautify the area. We look forward to your direction, and that would conclude my comments.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody on the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, no, we do not, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Francis?
So the color of the poles are going to be black?
No.
No, the poles stay the same. I'll go back to this, if I may. So similar to what you see here, especially on the left side, you can see that the pole remains. So we leave the vertical pole stays.
Okay, fine.
And what we change is the gray pole stays, and then the black top mast arm, we call it, and that decorative little metalwork there, that's what would be installed.
That'll be the black part.
That'll be the black part, correct.
Because, I guess it was a couple of council meetings ago, we talked about a color palette for Gardena Boulevard painting the buildings. Will that all match? Or am I...
No, you did, and that's why I was saying we painted the buildings next to our parking lot within that color. This wouldn't really fall within that same color palette. It could, as I mentioned before, there are other colors. I'm not sure which of those other colors would match on that. It's been a long road to get to this point and to have the black installed. So we chose the black to be installed before the color palette was finished.
Oh.
But if the council so desired, you could choose a different color. I would probably recommend if you chose a different color, we do a second installation so you can see what it really looks like with that gray pole. The black and gray works pretty good. Not sure if some of these other colors, a bronze and a gray pole, would really go together, but it's within your discretion.
And I was just thinking about how the whole total look, rather than just light pole, because that's what I was thinking about.
Sure.
I'm sorry, you just said something a second ago. You said if we were to choose another color that was not black, you would at least want to do an installation of the style of that out here, just so we could see it. Is that my understanding?
I would. I've been at this long enough to know that it's always best to do a sample
Okay.
and get everybody's buy-in. I just don't know. The color gray doesn't necessarily match with some other colors, those bronzes, the yellows, the browns, and the black it does. But I would recommend that we would take a step and have an example installed before we do all 52 of them. We do one to make sure that you say, that looks great, rather than I install 52 and go, uh-oh, we don't like that.
Okay. I know the black one that's out there now, it blends in really well. That's out there on 162nd. It blends in. I mean, some things when you notice it, like the example on here, I think there was one that was blue. It kind of stood in our packet here. There was one that was blue. It kind of really stood out, not in the best way, versus this one just seemed like it blends in pretty good. That black on top of the silver there, with that choice there, and just looking at that. Okay. Any other questions or comments anybody else has? Councilmember Love.
I know this project has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
A very long time. I remember us talking, one of the first projects that I started talking about when I came on council. My question is, I know a lot of people are asking for the string lights on Gardena Boulevard. What are the possibilities or the chances of us? I know Edison is dead set, has always been, always will be dead set on attaching the string lights to their poles, unlike DWP on the other side of Gardena Boulevard. But would it be something that you would consider doing on Gardena Boulevard, especially after the revitalization and the businesses are being refreshed and all of the stuff that's going on with the facade? Is that something that you would consider or would want us to look at as far as putting those string lights up to continue what's on the LA side, on the Gardena side?
Sure. No, we love the way that looks over there. Kevin Kwok worked to put together a cost estimate, and to do string lights, we put in new poles because we looked at trying to attach them to the palm trees, to get license agreements with the buildings, and we couldn't come up with anything that really seemed to make sense. But if we installed our own poles from Vermont to Budlong along Gardena Boulevard, I don't know how many poles it is, but it's roughly $45,000 to install those poles, and then we could put string lights on them. We could also put any kind of banners we'd want on them. So it really gives us kind of a nice spot to attach the lights, and may open ourselves up to some other opportunities that we haven't even thought of yet. But yeah, it's about $45,000, and if I hear tonight that that's a desire of the council, it's a project we could put together.
I'm sorry, $45,000 per pole or total of the project?
Total.
Oh, okay.
15 poles altogether. Yeah, 15 poles, $45,000. It's cheaper than we thought. $3,000 a pole plus or minus is what it would cost.
So how far would that go down Gardena Boulevard? Would it go all the way down from Vermont to Normandy, or would it go down just the storefront part of Gardena Boulevard?
It would go from Vermont to Budlong.
Okay.
So mainly the main commercial part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comment? If there are no more questions or comments here, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project installation of a SCE with the chosen color for fixture, the color that's shown on here, the black, and then authorize the city manager to execute the application and contract with SCE, as well as declare CEQA exemption and approve the project contingency.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by myself and a second by Mayor Pro Tem. You call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Francis? And Councilmember Francis?
No.
Okay. Councilmember
Yes.
Love?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Director Rigg. I have been pushing for this for so long. Thank you for making this happen. I appreciate it.
Mayor Serna?
Yes.
So with regard to the poll, the polls on Gardena Boulevard, that'll be a separate,
Correct.
perhaps a directive.
A directive
you
can be
guys.
made for that as well, so.
I'll do that at the end of.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so next we're going to move on to directives tonight. Does any member of the council have any directives?
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Love.
I didn't get a chance to write it out, but I would like to make a directive for staff to move forward with the possibility of moving forward with adding the poles on Gardena Boulevard to add the string lighting to enhance the Gardena Boulevard corridor. We all know the purpose of the directive is to make Gardena Boulevard blend in with the LA side and draw more attention to Gardena Boulevard. The reason why the directive is warranted is for the same reason. Directive would benefit the city because it would draw more people to Gardena Boulevard, and hopefully we can get a nightlife down there. I'll fill out the form and submit it to Becky.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second? I'll second.
Second it.
Oh, it's been seconded by everybody, I think. Okay. Madam City Clerk, you can pick who you want to second. Yeah, I think it was seconded by everybody up here. Okay. Are there any other directives? I have a directive. This here would be for the council to, or the city of Gardena, to send a letter of support in support of Assembly Bill 394, and that is the public transit operator and rider safety initiative. Basically, what's being proposed is a way to make sure that our drivers, as well as those who are riding the buses, that they are safe as they're being transported to their locations. And this here, the support, the purpose of this bill here is to those people who are threatening violence. This is to just to make sure that they, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong, to make sure that they are, there are tighter security measures that will be taken, as well as prosecuted in the event of them committing a crime on either the drivers or any of our staff, as well as any of the people who are riding any of our buses here. And the reason why this directive is warranted is just for the safety of our drivers. And one of the ways that it would directly benefit our city is just it promotes a safer environment for our workers as well as the community, so that they can ride any of the buses free of any type of danger. So I'm hoping I can get a second on just a letter of support being written to those who sit on the Assembly Public Safety Committee. And so hopefully I can get a second on that.
Second.
Okay, I think I heard one from, doesn't matter. Okay, Henderson or Francis, either one? Okay, Francis, okay.
Madam
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
And with other letters of support that you guys have given us as directives, what staff will do is prepare the draft letter and then send it to each one of you individually, and then let you decide if you want to add your name to the letter of support.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, are there any other directives at this time? Okay, if not, let's, city manager remarks regarding previous directives.
Mayor Serta, members of City Council, staff still working on prior directives as such. I don't have any updates on those prior directives.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that being said, we're going to move on to our council remarks. We're going to begin tonight with Mayor Pro Tem. Be ready, be ready.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So since our last, first and foremost, I attended the State of the City address by our mayor. This was really a great event because being a part of this great city for 71 years, it was kind of nostalgic to look back at some of the city's history and how it was, and then to see how we've evolved to now. It was a great presentation. I enjoyed it. And I just want to say it was a great job by the mayor and the city manager, Chief Safel, and the PD, LA County Fire, city staff and employees, volunteers, and our awesome community. So the Emerald City continues to shine and be bright and moving in the right direction. Attended casino night supporting our seniors at the Nakauka. Ms. Santini and her staff do a great job. This casino night's always a fun night, and I think doing it twice a year is very beneficial to our seniors. Sadly, I attended the funeral of a retired Gardena police officer, Cruz Oliveras. He was a really great officer that retired and unfortunately passed away from, I believe it was cancer. I attended the COG Housing Trust Advisory Committee meeting. It's our first meeting. We are trying to get a South Bay Housing Trust to help with homeless housing. So the first meeting went pretty well, and we'll see how this moves along. Attended the RCC board meeting. We approved our budget, and we're trying to hire more dispatchers. So anybody looking for a dispatcher job, contact the RCC. We could use you. I attended the 88 Cities Conference in Torrance with thanks to Council Member Dr. Henderson for actually being a part of a COG panel regarding the South Bay Fiber Network. It's something that's dear to our heart, and we've been working very hard to get fiber in our cities and our parks. I think the example was Raleigh Park, where we have a fiber network there. So I appreciate community development and staff members for showing up to this event. It showed how much our city cares about what's going on in the South Bay. The event was hosted by Torrance Mayor George Chen, and it was a really great keynote speaker, Tara Lynn Gray, who's Director of California Office of Small Business Advocate. She put on a really great keynote message. I attended the Law Enforcement Badges Blood Drive. Thank you, Chief, for always doing that. Hopefully you guys won again or came in first. So give blood, save a life. Attended the Eagle Scout Awards presentation at Guardian Valley Baptist Church for honorees of Troop 719. Kainoa Higa, number 209, Thomas Machian, 210, Evan Tamura, 211, Brandon Tang, 212, and Ryan Mimura, 213. Lastly, Roman Avermetz, 214. The number after their name designates what number Eagle Scout they are within that troop. This troop is amazing. It's one of the highest, one of the troops with the highest number of Eagle Scouts anywhere. And when they spoke about Eagle Scouts, there are only 6% of scouts that become Eagle Scouts. So it's quite an accomplishment. It's quite a feat. They have to do mountain climbing. They have to go on trips. They have to have so many badges. But it's not an easy task, and their parents are their major cheerleaders. So that was a great event, and thank you, Dr. Henderson, for being there to help me pass out certificates. Lastly, I attended the Board of Supervisors meeting today. And to support and request approval of Measure A fundings for the South Bay cities to try and get a little bit more than what we were getting and more than what the city of Los Angeles was trying to get from this project. So I received an email from Jackie Backrath, our director, who said that it was actually passed. So we're thankful for that, and we're thankful for Supervisor Hahn and the rest of the supervisors for pushing that forward. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Francis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the State of the City address and the Girl Boss Workshop. It's a lot of fun. And I want to thank Carolina Gongora, our Public Information Officer for the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District. I think everyone has a better idea of what that group, that body does in terms of protecting us from mosquitoes. And I also want to give a special thank you to Barbara Phillips for coming out to our meeting to represent the Beautification Commission. And I'd like to say, if you see any graffiti around anywhere, please call it in. Don't think, oh, somebody else will call it in, because a lot of times they may not. They're thinking the same thing. Well, somebody probably already called it in. But we need to be aware of it. And I want to thank the Public Works Department for doing such a great job, because as soon as the calls come in, they get around to it and get it down as fast as they can. And I also want to make mention that as we go toward the month of April, some of our students are out, our young people are out for spring break. This month is just about over, but they're also out in April. So they're out celebrating spring break. So you'll notice a lot more young people on the streets and riding bicycles and doing what young people do. But just keep an eye out for them and make sure, because sometimes they don't pay attention as they cross the street. They just keep going. So keep a good eye out for them. And also, let's see, anything else? I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting our city council meeting. All you out there. Anyway, thanks so very much. That really concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. You know what? I accidentally ended up skipping Councilmember Love. I'm sorry, you're next. My apologies.
No worries. Since our last meeting, I did attend several events. I attended the city's casino night. I got there early. It was a lot of people in attendance, and I gave one of my chips to one of the residents, and she wound up winning two of the nice big baskets. I told her one of them should have been mine, but she opted not to share her winnings with me. I also attended the Willows Preserve Wetland, the Willows Wetland Preserve Spring Equinox. I had the honor of sponsoring the snacks and the lunch for them, but I was really excited because in exchange, I got these nice little vegetable plants, and I got quite a few of them, and they were only like 1 inch, really tiny. There was like snap peas and lettuce and green onions, and it was like a whole bunch of them. And I took them home, and they were kind of dried out and kind of limp. But when I put them in the soil and added a little water, they perked right up. So hopefully I can have a harvest by the end of the spring. I also attended the Carson State of the City address, which was pretty amazing. Carson is definitely on the move, and they have a lot that they're about to do in preparation for the upcoming big events, such as the World Cup and the Olympics. Carson has a large reserve due to some moves that they've made, $220 million in reserve, but the development and the arenas and the hotels and stuff that they're about to put up in Carson is really something to applaud. I was speaking to the mayor, and we were talking about how Gardena can start to position ourselves for capitalization on some of these big events that's coming to the city. And so I really hope that the city, Gardena, starts to look at marketing us more as the city that's conveniently located in between Inglewood, where a lot is going to be going on, and Carson, where a lot is going to be going on. And although we don't have a lot of the hotels and things that they can capitalize on, the mayor Carson said, well, yeah, you guys got us beat with the restaurants. And so I'm hoping that we can possibly start some kind of campaign to market the multiple different diverse restaurants that we have to pick up some of this revenue, considering these Carson is planning for a lot of the Olympics to stay at Carson. And so if we can get them to come over here to eat, we might be able to benefit from these events coming into the state. I wanted to share with Councilwoman Francis that I thought I was going to have to replace your commissioner, Barbara Phillips, because she was having some personal issues, and so she sent me a letter and asking me to replace her on your commission. But then I seen her on Monday yesterday, and she made it a point to pull me out of a meeting to tell me that, no, if you have not replaced me, then please don't, because I really want to stay. So she loves your commission that much that I just thought you should know that. And I also wanted to speak on the graffiti. I get my property tagged on a regular. And I would definitely agree and encourage residents to report all graffiti, not just the big graffiti that's tagged on the walls with the spray paint, but also graffiti that's written on our light poles, our street poles, our trash cans, and even our business windows. I have had to, and I have to currently replace big glass windows that's hundreds of dollars because one put tag on it, and then if it's not removed, another one would tag on it. And unfortunately, on the storefront glasses, they etch into the glass, and so you can't just wipe that tag off, that graffiti off. It has to be replaced. But I think if we start reporting all graffiti, because I have a street light, a couple of street poles in front of one of my businesses, that they often use the markers and the Sharpies to tag. And I will say that when it's reported, that the city comes out and address that graffiti. But if we don't report it, like Councilwoman Francis said, and you think that someone else reported it, then it will stay up long enough for another tagger to possibly come and tag, and then you have a whole issue like we had at the old Big Lot building, where it was just massively tagged everywhere. So I do encourage the community to get involved, and it goes back to what the chief was saying earlier. Without your community involvement, without the community getting involved and telling us what you want from us, then we won't know. So I strongly encourage more of our residents to become more engaged and more aware and attend the council meetings and start getting involved and hearing, letting your voices be heard. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next up is myself. Since the last council meeting, I'll try to go kind of quick with this here. I attended our sanitation, LA County Sanitation, the personnel meeting, where we discussed not only personnel issues, but also overall potential rate increases that can happen for the entire county. I also attended environmental charter school. As the school had their sixth graders did projects on community issues that they saw around the city and how they would fix it. And so each one of these little groups that they had, it might be a group of 6 kids, they would find an issue like graffiti, or I think the railroads was one of the project ideas. They had, how would they go about fixing it? They identified the problem, they took pictures of it, what they would do to fix it, guessing what it would cost as far as funding, typical to what a person would do if they came before the city council, and just kind of presented the issue and how they would solve it. And they did a great job. All the young people presenting this, they all had talking points. They created their own flyer along with poster boards. And so it was really great to see these young people at the junior high level doing something similar to what I see adults come up before us and just present their presentation. So I was happy I was able to attend that. I also attended the Emperor of Japan's birthday celebration at the Japanese Consulate General's home, along with Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. I also had the opportunity to be out with Public Works when they were doing the railroad. And, you know, we've said it several times earlier, but we really, really have to thank Public Works for doing an amazing job. Just seeing the responses out there from everyone has been amazing. So can't say enough about that. I also attended Sarah High School's 75th anniversary that was held at the Westdrift Hotel. And it was just really great to see so many former students from graduated in the 60s that were still out there and in support, and just said a few words on behalf of the city of Gardena. But it was a really, really great event as they celebrated their 75th. I also attended a tour of Nissan. Their CEO was so gracious to accommodate myself, the city manager, and a couple of our employees on this tour. We could actually see how cup noodles, and notice I said cup noodles. It's not cup of noodles, but cup noodles is actually made. And to see it from the initial dough or paste and how it's rolled out and processed, and just the whole process of watching them create the noodle, the steam, how it's rolled, it was amazing. And then to see how it's packaged and all the labor in between. Some work the machine does, and then there are other things that people actually manually do there. And who would have thought every time you drive down Rosecrans, I mean, I knew it was there, but to actually see all the workings in play was awesome. We couldn't take pictures or video inside. The only thing we were able to take a picture of was all of us dressed in these really cool gowns where we had hairnets on and these worker type shoes. We all looked like cafeteria workers on the picture. And but it was a lot of fun to be able to just do the tour of that. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the Youth Sports League. Actually, twice they had 2 different banquets on 2 different nights. And that was always great to kind of help award the young people their awards for participating in sports. I also attended a Sister City International meeting, which is kind of like the parent organization of Sister City. We have our local Sister City organizations here, but then there's an international level. And so moving forward, anytime a city wants to bring on another sister city, technically it needs to go through the Sister City International. And so just meeting with them and just kind of doing a quick overview, how our experiences have been with our 2 sister cities. Are we open to any more cities? And even some cities who don't have a sister city, how it benefits them. And so got a chance to explain just kind of our experiences that we've had over the years. So that was a lot of fun. I also attended the 49th Annual Koi Show, the banquet that was held here at Nakoko Community Center. And that group is just so thankful for always being able to have their event hosted here in the city of Gardena. And they go on and on about how great our staff is to them. And I think that's just such a great thing for us as elected officials when you get a report back saying that, you know what, it's just a pleasure working with your staff. And so I just constantly have to tell you guys, thank you for what you do, because, I mean, you guys are right there on the forefront when it comes to our community, our people, as they're, renting our facilities. Also, I attended our State of the City, and I just want to thank everybody who had a part in that, putting that entire event together, from the staff who decorated to those who were just helping get all the information from all the different departments. I know I asked a lot of everybody to help find some of that information, but I think it came off really well as far as showing the history of every department as it relates to when Gardena was first incorporated. And actually, even coming up with the idea, I knew it would be kind of intense, but just kind of sticking to where Gardena was from a city perspective in 1930 to where we're at right now, I thought it would be kind of fun. And so, again, thank you to everybody. I even learned some new things out there that I thought I knew, but just really enlightened in more detail. Chief, thank you for your presentation. I had no idea about the goats, and I thought that's pretty interesting. And it kind of coincides with our little goat that we have as our what do we call it? Our mascots, our unofficial mascot. So I guess we were already on the right angle there with that, and coincided with your goat story. But again, thank you to everybody with that. Also, Casino Night, another great event that was held by our residents. By our staff. Our residents literally want to have a casino night every month. It's just that good. So staff, you guys are doing something right here. Also attended Coffee with a Cop. Again, another successful event. I attended my monthly CCGA meeting, my local sanitation meeting, different from the personnel meeting. I also attended Carson State of the City. Another great event. As mayors, a lot of times we always like to support each other. Their mayor comes here, I go there, and we always just share ideas of, what we're doing in our cities and, how we can help each other out. And so I was really happy just to see some of the great success that the city of Carson is doing. And on a sad note, Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka, they've renamed with their new city logo. It's now the Jewel of the South. It's the Jewel of the South Bay, and they have jewels on all of their logos now. So they officially stole that. They officially stole that from you, and so they have the shirts. I brought you back a cup, too, as well, so you can see it. The cup, the pen, you name it, everything's got a jewel on it. And so Yeah, but again, it was a really nice event that they put on, and they do a great job every year with it. So really happy that we can always go and support our neighboring cities because, if our neighboring cities are doing well, that encourages us, and we all do well as a region there. So happy I could attend that. And then on Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend the Girls Prep Academy for the Fire Department. And this is something that LA County Fire Department offers for young women who are interested in joining the fire department. And so what this is, it's like 6 or 8 weeks of training on Saturdays just to get a feel for what is it like carrying a ladder, pulling a hose, what some of the running drills are going to be like, what you have to climb, and a lot of different things. And so it just so happened when I was there on Saturday, I was there to kind of give words of encouragement. I got a chance to see the helicopter come down and take off. So it was a lot of fun just seeing that and just talking with some of the people there as they introduce the young people to what some of the different choices and directions you want to go in LA County Fire. So you don't just have to be a firefighter. You can be the person who jumps out of a helicopter. You could be the person doing heavy equipment. There's so many different things you can do there. And it was just great seeing so many young women who were out there training to do this, as well as some of the trainers who were women and who had been in this career for many years. So I'm happy I was just able to go out there and just give a couple of words of encouragement as well. And then I also attended on Sunday the installation of the new president of the Association of Peruvian Cultural, I can't remember all the information. I was trying to translate this in Spanish. It's another cultural group. And that was had here. So a lot of their members are from Gardena, and they had their event in San Pedro, and another great event to attend. And they want to be more involved with Gardena, and their event was in San Pedro. They'd like to have more of their events in Gardena, but happy I was able to attend there and just say a few words about their new incoming president, who is also the owner of El Polo Inca. So I was glad I was able to attend that. And then the last thing I'd just like to mention is this coming Friday, I am having my monthly town hall meeting. This Friday, it'll be at 6 p.m. It will be at the Toss Up Restaurant, and that is located on Artesia and Dalton. And there, we're open to hear any issues and concerns that any residents have, as well as any information that I could share with them to just let them understand all the different things that we offer here in the city of Gardena. And with that, that ends my report. Next up is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That was exciting. I wanted to kind of dovetail on what you stated before I get into my remarks. As far as the state of the city, our state of the city was great. City of Carson, state of the city was great. Hawthorne, state of the city was great. So I've gone to a few states of the city in our 16 city region of South Bay Council of Governments. And overall, the status of our region is pretty strong. So I wanted to make an appeal to you, Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka, as the chair of the COG, to see if there's some interest in us kind of doing a kind of a state of the city, or state of the region, for everybody to kind of be aware, or at least share the slides. I think it's really great how when I speak to others in other COG areas and serve in other parts of LA County, how they always highlight and really give us compliments on how well we collaborate in the South Bay. So again, it's our 16 cities, including the Harbor Gateway, how we really try to work and uplift one another. I think in our region, we probably have the most diverse socioeconomic makeup of cities, because we have the Hill, we got the beach cities, and then we got some of us that are in the valley. But the renaissance that this area is experiencing, from what's happening in Inglewood to what Carson's going to be doing and everything. So that prompted me to follow up with LA 28 in regards to what can some of the smaller cities do in regards to the Olympics and the World Cup. So they gave us some ideas. So, Mr. City Manager, I'm going to synthesize them a little more and then give them to you, and then we can kind of work it through staff, because there is opportunity. So that was a great state of the city, what Carson did. I liked our state of the city. The walk down through history was pretty interesting. I learned quite a bit myself. I attended Coffee with a Cop. I attended with Mayor Pro Tem, as he stated, the Eagle Scout ceremony at Gardena Valley Baptist Church. One of the Eagle Scouts I remember when he was born, I used to work with his mom, and it was just good to kind of see him, you know, get his honors and get a chance to, before the community, demonstrate the good work that he did in recognition. His father had a chance to get up and speak, and it was a real touching moment for him. I think as a parent, we're all the parents, aunts, uncles. It's really good when you see the young folks in your family really putting in work and doing something that's outside of themselves and is for others. I did my all my committee meetings, my mobile source air pollution reduction review committee, technical advisory committee. Yeah, that's too long, but it's a South Coast AQMD committee. We just approved a couple of projects for the Port of Long Beach and the Port of LA. So we're trying to really work on greenhouse gas reduction and help them with their e-vehicles. I want to thank again Mayor Pro Tem as the chair of the COG. We got an opportunity to present, as he stated, to the Los Angeles Economic Development Commission, their 88 City Summit hosted by the City of Torrance. I was humbled and honored to be the presenter for our South Bay Fiber Network and also representing the City of Gardena in that process. So my portion of the presentation focused on what it meant to champion an initiative in your city, especially something that's related to technology and the digital divide. So we left them with some jewels on what we can do moving forward. We have since been asked by a few other entities to kind of do our presentation again to discuss how were you guys able to go from nothing here to something there. And it's about just championing the cause. Again, we talk about collaboration, getting your colleagues to kind of understand, but doing the work ahead of time. So it's a nice, summarized package of these are potential resources. This is where we can reach out to do things to make sure we get the funding to do these things. And it has come to light in Gardena, and we're just looking to expand that even more. I did my business and community visits and everything. I got some feedback from your last town hall thing. It was pretty cool. Folks are like, well, how come you weren't there? I say it wasn't my thing, and I think I had bought a salad and a potato earlier that day, so I didn't feel like going back down there. But it's good. Again, I want to thank staff. Chief, as we say, we're supposed to start with gratitude, but I forgot. But I want to say thank you to the Public Works Department and everything for the work you've done at the railroad crossings. I am back to my normal driving habits, but I'm within the speed limit. But now I don't have to slow down, so I can really stay right at, what's the speed limit?
55.
It's 50?
It's just slow. It's slow.
All right, so I'm 1 mile under whatever the limit is, for the record. So I want to thank that again, Mr. City Manager. I appreciate the responsiveness of you and the staff with my inquiries and questions and everything like that. So you aren't a bottleneck. We're getting stuff done, and I appreciate that because I have questions aplenty. With that, I want to say, Madam Mayor, so ends my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have a couple of announcements here. The first one here is for the Willows Week of Service. Volunteers are needed. The City of Gardena is looking for Willow Wetlands Preserve volunteers. So join us for a day or an entire week, beginning Monday, April 14th through Friday, April the 18th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And some of the ideas of projects you might be doing is invasive species plant removal, litter cleanup, and planting new native plants. If you'd like more information, you can go and register at cityofgardena.org/events or call 310-217-9537. We also have our Youth Spring Camp for 2025. The dates of the camp are Monday, April the 14th through Friday, April 18th, and the ages are from 5 to 12, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for $140. The camp locations are Freeman Park, Nakoka Community Center, as well as Johnson Park. Registration has already begun, so if you have questions, again, you can refer to the website I mentioned previously, cityofgardena.org/events, or call City Hall. We also have our Volunteen Camp. That, too, is Monday, April 14th through Friday, April the 18th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Ages are 13 to 17, and you also have the opportunity to give back by gaining experience volunteering at some of our parks and events at our volunteer camp. There is a $50 deposit due at registration. The camp drop-off location is the Nakoka Community Center, and registration has already begun for that. And your deposit that you put down for $50 will be refunded after camp has ended, provided your teen has participated in at least 75% of the camp. Oh, that's good. Also, we have our Hoppin' Bunny Breakfast, which will be Saturday, April the 19th from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The pre-sale ticket prices for ages 2 and up is $10. On the day of the event, it does go up to $12, so you definitely want to do a pre-sale ticket. This includes breakfast for all ages. Breakfast is starting at 8:30 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. There'll be crafts starting at 9 a.m. to 11, and then an Easter egg hunt at 11 a.m. And the Easter egg hunt is free for the public. You can purchase these tickets at, again, our city website at cityofgardena.org/events. We also have our Extravaganza Bonsai event, which is Saturday, April the 19th. That will be at Raleigh Park, which is located on 132nd and Van Ness, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., where kids can participate in Easter egg type of games and craft creations with all type of sweets and treats here as well. They too will also have an Easter egg hunt that begins at 11 a.m. And just for your pre-planning here, our new aquatic center will be open this coming summer of 2025. And so we would like to get some feedback from our community. So we're asking everybody to participate in a survey that you can either, if you get one of our flyers like this here, you can scan the QR code and take the survey. And when you take the survey, you will also have an opportunity to be entered into a raffle to win $50 credit. And you can use that at any of our Recreation Human Services Department programs, for instance, like swimming lessons, fitness classes, and more. And we ask that you take the survey because it only takes a few minutes of your time. The survey will be open from February the 24th through March the 25th, which is today. So you only have until today to enter in this survey here. Also, the website for this is polco.us/SAT4CU if you'd like to participate in the survey. Also, we will have a paper shredding event on Saturday, April the 5th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and this is free for all Gardena residential customers. This will be at City Hall. You can confidently bring in your items to be shredded, and things that people should shred would be like your Social Security numbers on information, your credit card information or bank statements, anything like that, that secure information that's on paper, any of your canceled or unused checks, any old insurance or income tax records. You can bring all those items in and have it shredded for free. We also have our TRP Books and Beyond Adventures, which will be Friday, April the 11th from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. This will be at the Nakaoka Community Center, and this is the meeting location here, but apparently throughout the event, you'll be able to stroll over to Mamie Deer Library to discover things at the library, like how to get a library card, how to check out books, how to return them with ease, and how to also participate in some of the extra programs and services that are available at the library. Once again, that's Friday, April the 11th from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And we'll also have a compost giveaway again. That will be Saturday, April 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. This, too, is also free for all of our Gardena residents, rain or shine, while supplies last. And this will be at Raleigh Park. And we encourage everyone to bring your ID or utility bill just to show that you are a resident. And it's a first come, first serve. Drive-ups only, no walk-ins. You must enter off the Van Ness side of the street. You must bring your own containers or buckets, no bags, and the limit is 50 gallons per vehicle. No trailers or commercial vehicles. Rentals are limited to pickup trucks only. So if you'd like more information on this, you can call WR at 888-467-7600. And then we also have our spring community yard sale. This will be Saturday, April the 5th at Mos Fukai Park. You can get great deals on household items, antiques, collectible toys, clothing, furniture, and more. If you're interested in participating as a vendor in the yard sale, there is a registration period. And for more information on that, you can call City Hall or go to our site, which is cityofgardena.org/events. And then lastly, it was mentioned earlier today, for those who would like to participate in the League of Women Voters Earth Day teach-in, that event will be Monday, April 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Katie Geisert, thank you, Civic Center Library in the city of Torrance. And again, their theme is Our Power, Our Planet, an interactive workshop to move from awareness to action. Okay, so those are your announcements. Next, we're going to move on to remembrances. Tonight, we're going to adjourn in memory of Mrs. Kamiko Nakaoka, who was 95 years old and a former resident of Gardena for many years, and wife of the former Gardena Mayor Ken Nakaoka. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Avelino Cruz Oliveras, who was a former police officer with the Gardena Police Department. So at this time, we're going to move to our adjournments. The Gardena City Council will adjourn to our closed session portion of our City Council meeting at 7 p.m., followed by our regular City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025. So at this time, we are adjourned.